I'm Paul Hockland, Key Account Manager.
Paul Whiting, Project Delivery and Support Team Leader.
The main issue for businesses is going to be they've got to make sure they've got a working, fully operational metering estate. So it's all, it's all working, it's all communicating, because if there are any comms faults, the timescales for getting those fixed are really tight on the meter operator. But I guess what we don't know is what penalties may or may not be passed through, because nobody knows if they don't hit those deadlines.
I think the impact at the moment in the short term is going to be that obviously with a lot of our big clients, all clients, we've got kind of ongoing meter installation projects, right? So it's kind of imperative that those are pushed through probably at a quicker rate now, to make sure that customers are in the best possible position, as Paul described, to have a working estate of metering that we can support, that can sort of be supported throughout this process as well. So obviously that's a lot more collaboration with customers, working together within the DC side of the business at the moment and the MOP side, to ensure that we can get those projects over the line so we're in the best possible position.
Under the current system, they're getting billed to a month-end register read. So it's register read to register read, and there's your total. By moving to 30-minute profile data, it will allow the supplier to maybe give them better tariffs, because they can be priced more to their shape rather than just being general. So if you look at like a water company and the pumping stations, by having access to that 30-minute data, the supplier will be able to price it based on that load shape, which is more off-peak than currently. So there should be benefits to the customer, one would hope, with better pricing and lower prices from his supplier, to the fact that he's got better quality data going in.
The obvious benefit, I think, it just reduces probably the time or the risk of miscommunication between parties. If you've got everything happening under one roof, essentially, you can be confident that even though we still have to adhere to obviously all the industry rules and regs of sharing information, obviously in the old days it was flows, the new messaging system as market-wide comes in. If everything's happening under one roof, we're all talking to one another, we all know, right, we know that when we send this information from the data collection side of the business to the metering side of the business, we know where it's going and the actual people that are dealing with it. So obviously everything's going to happen and everything's going to be managed via all of the rules and regulations that we have to adhere to, but we're in a much better position where we can talk to colleagues to resolve issues quicker and so on and so forth, I think.
I think from a customer's point of view, the fact that they're telling the supplier who their preferred agents are, and that's because the customer can then pick up the phone and talk to somebody rather than just a call centre and goes into the ether. They've got a direct line through to who can actually fix a problem, whether it was with the meter or with the data. There might be an issue with the data.
And it could be a combination of the two as well, which, as Paul said, it's that's going to involve a customer picking up the phone and talking to a call centre for the data side of it to get some information from here, and then the same from the metering side of it. Whereas with Stark, you can just call straight into us and we can talk to you about it. We know who we can pass you over to in the business to help resolve.
Yeah, empowering the end customer is really key in all of this. They're in charge. It's their data, they're controlling it, and they're telling the suppliers what they want, rather than the supplier just giving them X, Y, Z. I would be ensuring that all of my metering is ready, and by being ready or being in the advanced market, not in smart, and certainly be telling them do not accept a SMETS meter, because at the end of the day that's being controlled by the DCC. So we are just an agent dialing in and hoping that the DCC's done their job to give us the data. Whereas at least if we're on an advanced meter, we are dialing the meter, we're in control. Therefore the customer is in control. With a smart meter, the customer has no control. I'd be recommending advanced meters wherever feasible, because there are going to be some issues where, you know, because we know of a certain size of advanced meter, the older state, sometimes they don't fit, but we've just got to work with that. So yeah, wholeheartedly get them all onto advanced, but also on direct contracts with the agents. So taking all the control away from the supplier, but ultimately you're in control of all the consumption, which obviously then drives your journey to net zero.
When we're running projects, it's quite a difficult conversation to have when, you know, us as a meter operator, we receive a set of meter technical details and realise that, right, okay, there's a SMETS meter there. So at the moment we've got very limited options, swapping it out so we can put AMR on there so we can actually work with it. And it goes back to what Paul says, it's imperative. Step one is definitely to make sure, first and foremost, that the metering estate for any customer is up to it. You know, that's kind of the foundation, I think.
And fundamentally, I think from again, from a customer's perspective, if he's in control of the meter operator agent, we know all of our agents, all of our engineers are fully compliant and knowledgeable to be presenting the right engineer to the job that they can actually do. I know of cases where a engineer's gone to, because there's been a supplier-led install, they've sent the same engineer to a site 6 times, every time he's aborted, because he can only do single-phase whole current meters. Whereas we would know that and we would always send the right engineer. So again, it's all about the customer being in control. I would say we're doing a fantastic job because we're building up from the bottom, we're not relying on any external parties, and we can deliver on all parts of market-wide half-hourly. That's fundamental of benefit to our customers, but not just to our customers, to suppliers as well. You know, they haven't got to have multiple agents over the same portfolio. They've literally just got one target. So yeah, 100%.
I think from a delivery perspective, and obviously a lot of this is fed from the initial conversations that I had with account management and sales, is making sure that the information that we've got available to us from the get-go is spot on. We have every piece of information we need down to the real nitty-gritty fundamentals, site addresses, site contacts, centralised contacts within a company for escalation, things like that, understanding of what's required for installations, making sure customers are aware of all of this stuff ahead of time, you know, having regular conversations with them to understand where things are at and what they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, I think us having a really good understanding of our customer's business and how it models, so we know that, you know, we cannot turn up to a school at 11 o'clock in the morning and expect to turn the power off. You know, just being sensible and proper smart scheduling, knowing the customer and planning works accordingly. So if we have all these public sector schools, we know we do them in school holidays. We can do 6 meters a day, which is far more cost effective for us as a business and for the customer because it's less disruptive. I think it all comes down fundamentally is the customer, the end customer, having that close relationship with the agents, so that you're working in partnership together for the end goal, which is let's try and get as many meters on the wall as we possibly can in the shortest time possible with the minimum amount of disruption. And we can only do that if we all work collaboratively together.
And I think the key there is, as Paul said, it goes across the board really, it's relationship. It's having that kind of one-to-one relationship with customers, that making customers understand that we aren't just a call centre. You're not going to call Stark and just get through to a call centre and just get bounced around to different teams. You're going to be talking to an individual that you actually know, that you speak to on a regular basis, that you can trust and can help you sort of guide you through the journey.
I think for me, because I have a lot of this, it's really about keeping on top of the faults. That's like mission critical. If I look at my water company customers, what we have to bear in mind is the energy bill is their single largest cost, business cost, outside of staff. So this is like really, really important. So if they've got missing data, that is a risk to their business. So being on top of those faults is like the most important thing, and getting them fixed as quickly as possible. And it doesn't matter if it's a huge big supplier or it's a small pumping station, the effect is still the same. Especially on the big sites, we just need to make sure that we're on top of them, and we know the details. That's like, for me, that's like the most important thing.
I think ultimately it's just being ahead of the curve, isn't it? Is that we should be the ones spotting and picking up and resolving issues, ideally before customers notice them.
100%. We should know about the faults before they do, and already have an action plan in place. Yeah. Especially with market-wide, because of the timescales. You know, we know we've got to get someone to site within 5 days to do a data download. Well, yeah, okay, bang, let's get ahead of that curve, and let's get our foot on the front foot.
Yeah. Especially with the bigger portfolios, because obviously it's a lot harder just to focus on, you know, if you've got a client with 20 meters, you can put a little bit more focus on an MPAN by MPAN basis. But when you've got a customer that's got 1,000, 2,000 MPANs on a portfolio, it's a lot harder to sort of spot detail. So, but obviously we've got a lot of tools in house now that customers have access to as well. Data health, for instance, using the systems and the reporting that we've got available to us, you know, in a smart way that we can manage our customers as well as them using it to sort of manage their own portfolios as well. But I think ultimately spotting issues before the customer does is huge.
Well, just planning.
Yeah.
Plan. Know what you're going to do. Just know what time you need to be there, who's going to be there, what they're going to do. Everybody knows. There are no surprises. Yeah.
It's just exactly that. It is planning. It's as simple as that. Well, I say as simple as that. It sounds simple. Sometimes it's quite difficult, but it's just making sure that you're planning, you're having those initial conversations with customers to understand them, to understand who they are, what their estate looks like, what kind of business it is. As Paul sort of described, you know, you can't go into a school at 11 o'clock in the morning and expect to turn the power off. It's, you know, we need to be smart to that. Customers, obviously, we expect customers to give us that information, but we should be able to kind of lean on our experience and be able to spot things like that before we start rolling things out, and just having really good communication throughout the business. So as sort of account managers, as sort of project lead, sort of pulling that information out and making sure it's shared with the people that are actually going to be sort of on the ground doing the work, I think. I think from my perspective, it's, you know, ultimately customers come to us for data. That's what that's what we do. We want to get data to customers' data to them. That's what we do all of this stuff for. So I think during the transition period for market-wide, obviously we don't know how it's going to play out in terms of suppliers doing what they need to do, when obviously everything's kind of in a sort of state of de-appointment, and then agents need to be reappointed, however that looks. I think the biggest risk to customers is potential loss of data. So I think it's just preparing customers for that and making sure that firstly we understand what needs to happen to make it seamless, and kind of making customers aware of what their responsibility is when talking to their suppliers, to make sure that whatever they have to do transition wise happens with sort of minimal disruption.
I think we just need to keep our customers aware of what we need them to do to make sure that we can do our job. You know, we're going to get de-appointed, we haven't got these appointments in, how quickly can we get them back in, and what can we do to make sure that we don't lose the data in that interim period.
I think it goes back to what we said about the importance of customers kind of priming their suppliers beforehand to make sure the supplier knows what the customer expects of them. You know, we want to work with Stark, we want to continue services with Stark, so you need to do X, Y, Z, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a customer that where I know that customer is 100% ready for market-wide half hourly, I would want to be going to the supplier and saying, we're ready to move, can we go now? Rather than just wait for the supplier to get round to us, because we all know suppliers, they're going to go slow. So I think there's nothing against the customer, I don't think, knocking on their supplier's door and saying, well, we're ready. our data's ready, can we make the switch? I think from a start perspective, I think we would have to prioritise all of the advanced meters, because at the end of the day, a site that's got a smart SMETS meter installed, we are in no control of the metering agent, we're in no control of the data. So that is, you know, we've got no control. And on a heritage dumb meter, that's reliant on us to do that meter exchange. So again, there's less control to a degree. So I think you're always going to prioritise the advanced, but you're also going to do everything you can to get as many of the dumb meters kind of moved over to advanced in whatever timely manner that you do. But we've also got to appreciate that customers have got financial constraints and budgets. So we might have to look at their big spends on those meters and say, okay, we'll do the top 50 because of the old 80-20 rule. If you've got 600 sites, but only 50 of them represent 80% of the cost, then you're going to concentrate on those because the rest is less risky. And you'll just get round to them when you can. If I put what I'm currently doing into words, you know, I'm targeting, as part of my renewals process with my customers, we're targeting all the old ISCRA MT375s, which we know have been problematic when they've gone to half hourly through P272. So in my world, I need those out as a priority, and to a degree they're more of a priority than a heritage dumb meter in my world, because A, they're big spends, and B, the data, and we can't risk them going dumb. So there's that. I've got issues with looking at customers about what's important to them, because what might be a priority to Stark is maybe not with their priority. That might be the sites that they're more interested in. So it's just listening and learning and working as a team.
Talking about kind of the breadth of different types of meter, it's targeting the most important. So, you know, a customer wants to go to smart AMR, how you want to describe it at this stage. If they've got dumb meters on their estate, obviously they want to exchange those, but there's inherent challenges that can come from that. Obviously, if you've got a dumb meter, it's not communicating via any means. So, you know, you could have a meter sitting in a basement that has no signal, so then you have to have conversations around how we get around that, you know, installing alternative comms. There could be kind of hidden or unknown infrastructure issues with the sort of the metering system itself that you need to interact, or you need to get involvement with the DNO. So those are a little bit more unknown, so it's prioritising those. That's a little bit of a different challenge. SMETS, as we say, when we kind of discover that there's SMETS on the wall for a customer, obviously we're kind of hands tied with that, so we have to have conversations with them about exchanging for AMR meters. But in a lot of cases that can come with termination. Customers have to take care with their suppliers, which can be quite difficult conversations to have. So it's just really it's making customers aware of the different flavours of things that we can encounter and that they need to be aware of and help support us on when we're taking them on that journey. The same amount of support that's available when a project's ongoing, before a contract's signed, it's the same. I think that one of the great things about us is that when a project is in life, when it's going through the delivery phase to when you complete and everything's online and you've got your data and you're all happy, if you've got any issues, you're going to be talking to the same people that you did when you were going through the process of getting everything installed and getting everything online. So it's almost like a one-stop shop. You're not going to be, right, we've installed your meters now, we're not going to talk to you anymore, we've got your money, go speak to somebody else if you've got an issue. It's not the way. It's, you're going to speak to, if I've been working with a customer through a project of meter installations, once it's done, if there are any kind of, if you want to call it kind of after sales issues, they're going to come to me and we're going to have those conversations.
There's no difference in service between right at the start of the project and 2 years after the project is finished. It's still, hopefully still going to be the same person on the end of the email or the phone, and who will give you the same level of service you've always had, which is really what I think Stark's really good at delivering.
And we've certainly got a subset of customers that, I was talking to pretty much at the start of my career at Stark all those years ago, still have conversations with to this day. That relationship's remained all the way through.
Sign a contract with Stark.
Just work with us.